Welcome to the Lash and Brow practical video. We're just gonna first things first go over appearance. You're gonna want to show up with your hair slicked back. If it's anything longer than your shoulders, I would say have it in a tight slicked back bun rather than a ponytail, just because you don't want anything dangling over your client that could possibly touch them in any way. Over jewelry, we don't want any rings on, we don't want any necklaces on. It's okay if you have studs in, but any dangly or chunky jewelry we're gonna take out as well. If you show up in anything like a scrub top that maybe has a long sleeve under it, you're just going to want to roll up your sleeves. I would suggest wearing a short sleeve. You'll wear all black scrubs or all black clothing, no holes, closed-toed shoes. Okay, let's get into it.
You will prepare your work area for your client. Please do not introduce your client until instructed to do so. You will set up the universal supplies you will use throughout the examination. You'll also set up the supplies for the following sections of the examination: taping, eyelash extension application, eyelash removal. You'll prepare your client for services. You'll be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You'll have 15 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 8 minutes remaining. Do not demonstrate any procedures until the verbal instructions are given and you are instructed to begin. Turn the head to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
When going into our tub, we're going to take off the lid, and then we're just going to put that lid right back in. We don't want to set it down on the ground because then it's contaminating the whole rest of our tub and it's not sanitary anymore. Going in, you'll have a pair of floater gloves. Go ahead and put those on for your setup. Okay, and then first thing we want to do is we want to set up our trash cans. This is just because then when we are barbiciding, we want to make sure that we have a place to throw those things away. Starting off, we'll do. And then I'll go back through and I'll fix these. The order that they're going to be in is it's going to be trash, items to be disinfected, and then soiled linens. You want to make sure that they're open enough to get your things in and that the bag is around it. And if they're not fitting perfectly, that's okay too, but just enough where it's not going to cause any problems for you. Okay, we'll go in and we'll grab our hand sanitizer and our barbicide wipe. We'll open it, close that lid, and then we'll wipe down the table. The table is going to have edges too, so make sure you're going around all the edges, cleaning those, and that everything on the table is clean. We'll take that, we'll throw that away. I'll reach back in, I'll grab a new wipe, close that again, and I'll wipe off my hand sanitizer. Set that down by the trash can so anything falls, it's going into the trash. And I'll wipe down this as well, every side. 1 and 2. And I'll set that down and then throw that barbicide away. Sanitize. And now I'll get into my tub and grab out my tissues, universal supplies, and my own. So that's my mannequin. And I'll close the tub now that I'm done with it. Lock it. Put it away. I'll sanitize. I'll set up my table. I'm going first and I'll set up my universal supplies. So I'll have this little bag full of extra supplies, like an extra Band-Aid, cups. I'll have my bag of gloves that I usually set to the side over there. My first aid kit that I'll have over here. Distilled water as universal supplies with the label facing outwards so they can read it, as well as a roll of tape. Once we're done with that, I don't want to press it to my body, but I'll fold that up enough where it's compact and I'll throw it into my bin. You never want to put your hand below the line of the trash bin because then you got to take off your gloves, sanitize, do that whole thing. We'll go in, I'll put those up here, at least. We'll get out my towel. Put my mannequin head on, and then I'll go ahead and set up my other guys. I'll have my fan, my foaming cleanser with the label facing out, and my supplies to do the service, as well as it's got put in upside down. My lash tray, and 2 brushes for eyelash cleaning. Once again, I'll take that, hold it down, and throw it away. I'll take off my gloves. Throw those away, sanitize, and step back once your area is set up.
You will cleanse and then tape the bottom lashes of both eyes. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 10 minutes to complete this section. You will be informed when you have 5 minutes remaining. Turn the head to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
Okay, first thing we'll do is we'll step up, we'll sanitize. We're also never sanitizing like pulling off. We're going to take our hand flat and press down into it because we never want to be pulling from it or anything dripping as well. So I'll sanitize and then I'll go into my universal supplies and grab out any of the products needed. So I'll need my iPads, I'll need my cup, and I'll need a spoolie as well. Once I'm done with that, I can go ahead and close up the bag and set that off to the side, and then I'll sanitize. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a Kleenex. I'm just going to use this in between and set it up next to my client, so that way as I use the brush to clean the lashes, I can set it there in between as well. I'll show you that in a minute. First things first, we'll go ahead and sanitize. And I'll grab my lash wash. I never want to be reaching over the client either. I'm always going around just in case if anything drips, if anything slips. I'll grab this. I'll grab my cup. I'll take off the lid, pump it over the trash can just in case anything falls in. Put the lid back on, place it, label facing outwards. I'll grab my brush. I'll place it in. I'll brace their face, and then I'll just clean the lash. That good. Do it for a couple seconds so that way your marker can actually see. I'll set down my brush and my cup. I'll grab my distilled water. I'll pump it, let it rinse, and then I'll go ahead, sanitize, grab another Kleenex, pat dry, throw that away, grab my spoolie and my fan, brush, and dry. Once that's done, you don't see any water dripping down, anything like that, and your lashes look like they're clean and ready. You can set your brush back down. We'll save this spoolie, put it there, because now I'll go ahead and grab that brush, and go back in, brace the face, and we'll do the other eye. Once that's done, now these items can go into trash and items to be disinfected. Sanitize again, and then I'll go ahead and grab that water once again, pump it, sanitize. I'll go ahead and grab another one, pat dry. Once all that water's cleaned up, I'll throw that in the trash, grab that spoolie once again, brush through, make sure it's dry. And then once that's all done, I'll turn off my fan, take my spoolie, throw that in the trash, look at what else I have. I'll throw this away as well. And then I'll go in, I'll sanitize. And now we can go ahead and start taping the bottom lashes. Your mannequin doesn't actually have bottom lashes, so just do the best you can to kind of put them underneath. We'll go ahead and open up our iPads. I'll put that in the trash, and then the best way to do it is kind of to slide it underneath. And then we'll place it like that. That's how we want it to look. Then I'll go ahead and I'll do the other eye. Once again, I can slide it underneath. Just kind of. Okay. Then I'll throw it away. I'll sanitize. And I'll go ahead and grab my tape. What we're going to do is we have to create kind of an X mark underneath the eye where the two strips of tape are meeting to kind of secure that eye pad. So I'll go ahead and take a little bit, rip down the middle. And then same thing, I'm kind of wiggling it underneath. Securing it, placing it right there. I'll take my other strip, Go underneath once again. And placing like that. And now we kind of have that X right there in the middle. And then I'll go ahead and I'll do the other eye now. Split it once again. Same thing. Going in. Placing it right there. Same thing. Okay. Now once we look there and our eyes are set up, I'll sanitize and I'll look at my work area. Make sure that the eyes are completely taped. We're not going to map yet. That's in our next section. Make sure everything that I used is thrown away. And then we'll go ahead and sanitize. And I'll set back.
You will apply classic eyelashes to both eyes. You'll map 4 different lengths of eyelashes. You'll apply at least 1 eyelash per section. You'll be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 20 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 10 minutes remaining. Turn the head to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
Okay, once again, step forward, sanitize my hands, and I'll go ahead and get into my universal supplies. All we're going to need from here for this step is just the spoolie. I'll go ahead and close that. And I'll set that aside. I'll sanitize, and now I'll go ahead and get into my blue bin. Your blue bin is just where all your lash stuff is. So it's going to have your tray with your 4 lash links, your Sharpie, glue, your glue holder, lash remover, and your isolation tweezers and your placement tweezers. At the end of client 1, we will dispose of this entire blue tray. First off, I'm going to go ahead and grab that Sharpie. I'm going to go ahead and map 4 lash lengths. As you can see, we have an 8, 9, 10, 11. We're going to place 4 lashes on each eye per area of the lash map. So I'll go in, I'll go from the outer corner, I'll go from the inner corner, and then I'll do my middle, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11, 10, 9, 8. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing to the other eye. I'll go to the inner corner, the outer corner, middle of the eye, and then separating those sections. I'll go 11, 10, 9, and 8. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, close up my Sharpie, and I'm going to put it back in my blue tray because we're not going to, once again, we're not going to dispose of it until the end of client 1. I'll sanitize, and then I'll go ahead and get out my tray, my glue, and my tweezers, and just get ready for this whole section. I'll go ahead, make sure that my lashes look good, that there's none bent. You're going to want to do this before, make sure that all lashes are usable. You'll go ahead, open up your glue, shake it before you get there, maybe shake it again for a couple of seconds so that way it's going to work. Go ahead and dispense it just into this little tray. It's your dot. Okay, and then once that's ready, you'll take your isolation tweezers, you'll take your placement tweezers, and you'll just go ahead and isolate each section, grab your 8, place an 8, make sure that looks good. You can move on, do your 9, so on and so forth, just till 1 lash is in each area of that lash map. Okay, once I'm done with that and have all 8 of my lashes placed, I'll go ahead and I can put my tweezers back in here so that way they're safe and not getting dented in the items to be disinfected. I can put my tray back, my glue back. And since we did dispense real glue, we're going to go ahead and grab our distilled water and we're going to pump a drop over it, over the trash can, just so that way it's kind of deactivating it so it's not flammable. And now we can go ahead and throw that into our trash bin. We'll go ahead and put that there. Sanitize. I'll make sure my lashes look good, maybe brush through them a little bit, make sure that they're staying. Once that's done, I can go ahead and throw away my spoolie, sanitize my hands, close my box. I'm always going to turn my mannequin head so that way the proctor can look at your lashes, make sure that they look good. And then once my mannequin head's turned, all my disposables are thrown away. I'll sanitize my hands, check my work area, and I'll set back.
You will remove the eyelash extensions you just applied from 1 eye. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 15 minutes to complete this section. You will be informed when you have 8 minutes remaining. Turn the head to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
First thing I'll do, I'll go ahead, sanitize, and now I'll turn around my head. So that way I'm ready to work. I'll go ahead and sanitize again now that I've touched the head, and I'll go into my universal supplies. What I'm gonna need for this is my last 2 cups. I'll need a spoolie, and I'll need a couple of micro swabs as well. Okay, 2 micro swabs. One more thing, I need to go ahead and grab my little popsicle stick, and now we have everything out of our supplies. We'll go ahead and zip up that bag, place it down, and then I'll go ahead and sanitize my hands. I'll grab one of my cups. I'll go ahead and go sanitize before I get into my blue box. I'll pull out, once again open this, and I'll pull out my lash remover before I dispense. I'm actually going to sanitize. I'm going to get into my glove bag. I'm going to go ahead and grab out a pair of gloves. Just since we're dealing with a chemical service, we want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. So that way there's no burns, anything like that. Go ahead and sanitize, and now I'm ready to go ahead and dispense my lash remover. I'll grab my popsicle stick, and I'll grab my lash remover, I'll open it up, and I'll take my popsicle stick and dispense just enough, put it in. We're only removing off of one eye, so we only need enough for those 4 lashes, but we can't dip back in once we dispense, so make sure that there's enough. Once I'm done with that, I can go ahead and throw away my popsicle stick. I'll sanitize after I threw that away, and I'll go ahead and I'll grab a micro swab. I'll take my remover, I'll brace the face, and I'll go ahead and apply that towards where that glue base is. And I'll let that sit for a couple seconds to let that kind of soak up and start to loosen that glue on the lashes. Now that I went and applied that, I'll go ahead and I'll take my micro swab, I'll throw that away while that sits. Once that comes time and it's sat for a second, I'll take my other micro swab and I'll remove it, make sure all the lashes are coming off. If you have any lashes that aren't budging and they won't come off, you can go ahead and grab your tweezers and banana peel them. Most of them, if not all of them, should come off with the remover. Once all of those are off and I finish using my micro swab, I'll throw that back into the trash. I'll sanitize my hands. And then I'll go ahead, throw away my cup of remover, sanitize. I'll grab my second cup and my lash wash, take off the lid, take my cup over the trash can, dispense 1 pump of my lash wash, put that back, label facing outwards, and then I'll go ahead, grab my brush, brace the face, and clean those lashes just like we did before. Once again, just on this one eye. Once that's done, now we're done with this brush. We're not doing the other eye, so I can go ahead and put in items to be disinfected, and I can put the cup into the trash. I'll sanitize. I'll go ahead and grab my distilled water and a tissue. Since I just sanitized, I'll brace the face. I'll pump that distilled water, and then I'll go ahead and pat that dry. Okay, now once that's done, I can go ahead and throw that away. I'll sanitize. I'll take my fan. I'll turn it on, and then I'll brush through those lashes. Make sure that they're all clean. Okay, once that's done, I'll go ahead and turn that off. Throw away my spoolie. Go ahead and take my iPads. Do it slowly so that way nothing's pulling. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that into the trash, and then I'll go ahead and move this iPad as well. Throw that into the trash. I'll sanitize. I'll put my lash remover back into my blue bin. I'll take my blue tub now that we're completely done with this, and I'll put this in items to be disinfected. We want to make sure our lash tray is facing up. It's not going to make a fun sound, but we're going to go ahead and just go ahead and sanitize our hands once again. We're done with the fan. We can put that in items to be disinfected as well. I'll go ahead and turn my mannequin head around so that way the proctor can see. Take off my gloves. Throw them into the trash. Check my work area. Once that's checked, I'll sanitize and step back.
You will break down your work area and dispose of supplies used in the previous section of the examination. You'll be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You'll have 5 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 2 minutes remaining. Do not set up or perform any services until the verbal instructions have been given and you are instructed to begin. Step back to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
Okay, I'll step forward, I'll sanitize. Our client isn't actually here anymore, so you can move your mannequin however you need. I'm gonna go ahead and set my mannequin down. I'll take my towel, put that in soiled linens. I'll grab my bag of supplies, I'll put that in trash. And then I'll take my lash wash and I'll put that on to be disinfected. I can go ahead and kind of set everything to the side to kind of prepare for our next section. And then once that's all done, everything we used in the last section is disposed of. I'll go ahead and sanitize and step back.
You'll prepare your work area for a new client. You'll set up the universal supplies you'll use for the remainder of the examination. You'll also set up the supplies for the following sections of the examination: eyelash lift, eyebrow lamination, eyebrow tinting. You'll prepare your client for the services. You'll be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 15 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 8 minutes remaining. Do not demonstrate any procedures until the verbal instructions are given and you are instructed to begin. Step back to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
Okay, I'll go ahead, step forward, sanitize. I'll get into my gloves. Put on my pair of gloves. Okay, now that I have my gloves on, I can go ahead. I'll sanitize once again just to be safe. I'll go ahead and I'll grab a cavi wipe, open it, take out, close. And I'll wipe down the side of the table that is empty since I moved everything to that side. I'll wipe the edges, wipe down the side. Edges again. Once that side's all clean, as I grab something from this side, I'll wipe it down with that same cavi wipe, make sure it's all clean, and set it to the side. That is now clean. I'll do that for each one, even your mannequin. Once again, it's not a client anymore, it's just a mannequin. So, wipe underneath, wipe behind, wipe their face, everything. Set that to the side. So on and so forth with each one. And then cover wipes, go down the side, the top, underneath. Now that side's clean, I'll take and I'll wipe the other side of the table. The edges. Now I'll go ahead and take that wipe, I'll throw that away, and I can set back up my table how it was before. They're facing outwards, and then my mannequin. Okay, I'll go ahead and take off these gloves. Since we have our floater gloves in our bin, I'll throw those away. I'll sanitize, and now I'll go ahead and pull my bin around, pop off the lid, put it in there, grab my gloves, put those on, and now I can go ahead and grab climate 2, set it down. Our bin should now be completely empty. I'll take the lid, and now I'll put my bin, and I'll set that to the side. I'll go ahead and I'll sanitize, and now I can go ahead and set up my client. I'll go ahead, set the towel. I have my supplies I'll be using. I have my lash lifts and white comb, another fan. You'll want to set up your supplies in order of using them, just to kind of make it easier as you go through. So I'll have my lip solution, my neutralizer, my conditioner, my tint, and my developer with all labels facing outwards. I'll have another 2 brushes for my lash washes, barrier cream, and glue. Once I'm done with this, Go ahead, fold it up. Throw it into my trash, sanitize. Turn my mannequin head around. Make sure that my station looks how I want it to. Everything's in place. All my universal supplies are up here. I'll go ahead and take off my gloves. Throw them into the trash, sanitize, and I'll set back.
You will perform an eyelash lift on one eye. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You have 10 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 5 minutes remaining. Turn the head to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
Okay, you'll step forward. You'll sanitize. We don't need gloves for this section, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab what disposables I need out. I need 4 cups for this section, so I'll grab my 4 cups, set them off to the side. I want my iPad. I will need an SD wipe. I'll go in and I'll grab as many microswabs, honestly, as I can. I'll set those to the side. And then I'll grab out a spoolie as well. 2 spoolies, actually. Then once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and close my bag and set that down. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to sanitize again. I'll go ahead and grab my cup and I'll grab my lash wash. I'll go over the trash. I'll dispense it, put that cap back on, face it with the product label facing out. I'll have my cup. I'll get in there and then I'll go ahead and cleanse the lashes. We're only doing this one eye. So once that's done, I'm done with this brush. I can put that eye to be disinfected and my cup in trash. I'll go ahead, I'll sanitize. I'll grab my tissue and my water. I'll do 1 pump. I'll pat dry that eye. I'll put down my distilled water back. I'll throw away this, sanitize, and then I'll grab my spoolie, my fan, and I will let the fan run and dry and brush those lashes. So I'm done cleaning those lashes. I'll go ahead and take this brush and I'll throw it into the trash and sanitize. I'll get my iPad out. We're only, once again, doing 1, so just make sure you have the right iPad for the right side. And throw in one I am not using. Cover away, and then same thing as we did before, I'm going to go ahead and slide it underneath. Place the iPad down. I'll go ahead, try to sanitize, grab my tape, do as we did before, make an X underneath the eye.
Perfect.
Okay, and then I go ahead and I have that X underneath, and my iPad is exactly how we did it before. Now I'll go ahead and I'll grab another piece of tape. This one can be smaller, just enough, and I'll go ahead and put that on the eyelid to place our rod over. I can throw this piece away since I'm not using it. I'll sanitize. And now I'll go ahead and get into my lash lift rod and white comb. Okay. I'll even close that. Okay, now that I have those, I'll go ahead and take my glue. I'll take our micro swab. We cut off the brush so that way you aren't even tempted to use it and dip or double dip. You'll go ahead and take your micro swab, take the lid off, dip your micro swab in, place the glue on the eyelid. Once I'm done with that micro swab, I'll go ahead and throw that away. I'll take my lash rod and I'll go ahead and place that down and just set it for a second. Try to get it to stick. If you need more glue, you're going to take a new micro swab, same as you did before, and go ahead and dip that in. We are never reusing, we're never double dipping. So if you need more glue. The only thing is this section is only 10 minutes, so you have to make sure you're moving fast. If your rod is not cooperating, just try to move on and go through the other steps. Now that we're done with gluing down the rod, I'll go ahead and take, I glue again, a new micro swab, and I'll go ahead and I'll lift the lashes back and adhere them to the rod. Just in sections. And then once all those lashes are back, now I'm done with that micro swab, I'll go ahead and throw that away. Okay, now that I have them roughly glued up using the micro swab, I'll go ahead and take my white comb and position them how I want and make sure they're really placed up there, adhered to the rod. When I'm done with this, I'll go ahead and put this in items to be disinfected. I'll sanitize my hands. Now I'll go ahead and grab out a cup. I'll grab my lift solution. These little guys are on there. You'll go ahead and put those in items to be disinfected. You'll take your cup, you'll take your lift solution, and you'll pump it over the trash. We are not done with this yet, so I'll go ahead and set that back over there. Product label facing out. I'll grab my micro swab, I'll dip it in there, and then I'll just place that lift solution on there, middle of the lashes. Once that's on there, I can go ahead and throw away my cup and my micro swab. I can go ahead and sanitize, and then I'll let that sit for a second. When that comes time, then I'll go ahead and grab a new micro swab. I'll remove the lifting solution. Make sure it's all off. Once that's off, I can go ahead and get rid of this micro swab, sanitize, get out my next cup, get out my neutralizer, remove this if it's on there, or do this beforehand. I'll take my cup, I'll take my neutralizer, I will dispense over the trash can. We're not done with this either. We'll put this back. We'll grab a new micro swab, take that, and now we'll place the neutralizer same as we did the lifting solution. Once that's done, I'm done with my cup and my micro swab. I will throw those away as well. I will sanitize. I will let that sit. Once that sits, I'll take another micro swab and I'll remove just as we did before. Once that's all removed, I'll go ahead and I'll throw away this micro swab. Last cup, I'll grab my conditioner. I'll remove this, items to be disinfected. I'll go ahead and take my conditioner over the trash can, dispense one pump, put that back. Then I'll go ahead and take a micro swab, dip it in there, and this is what I'm going to use to release the lashes from that rod. Make sure the glue's not sticking anymore. Once those lashes are all up and off the rod, I can go ahead and take this micro swab and this cup, and I'll put those both into the trash. Once that's off, I can go ahead and take my rod, put that in items to be disinfected. I can take my tape, put that in the trash. I'll maybe sanitize if my hands are feeling dirty. And then I'll go ahead, take an SD wipe now. I'll take my distilled water over the trash can. I'll pump it once, just enough where that SD wipe is damp. And I'll go over the eyelid and make sure all that tape or any residue from the tape and any glue and oil is off that eyelid. Once that's all clean, I'll go ahead and take this SD wipe. I'll throw that away. And then I'll take my spoolie, I'll take my fan, and I'll go ahead and brush and fan out those lashes. Once that's done, I can go ahead and throw away this brush. Now that I threw that away, I'll go ahead and sanitize. I'll turn my client head so that the proctor can see. Once that's all done, I'll go ahead, sanitize. I'll step back.
You will break down your work area and dispose of supplies used in the previous section of the examination. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 5 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 2 minutes remaining. Do not set up or perform any services until the verbal instructions have been given and you are instructed to begin. Turn the head to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
Okay, I'll go ahead, I'll step forward, I will sanitize, I'll flip my client around, I'll sanitize again, I'll go ahead and remove my iPads, I'll throw this into the trash. Now that I've touched my client, I'll sanitize, throw away my micro swabs to the trash, the lash glue, and items to be disinfected. Once those are thrown away, now I'll go ahead and grab my little box that had my rod and my white comb, I'll throw that away. I'll make sure everything looks nice. There's nothing else I used in this lash lift section. And once that's done, I'll sanitize and I'll step back.
You'll perform an eyebrow lamination. You'll demonstrate eyebrow lamination to one eyebrow. You'll be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 10 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 5 minutes remaining. Turn the head to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
Okay, I'll go ahead, I'll step forward, sanitize, I'll hop into my bag of disposables. I'm gonna need 3 disposable cups for this. Grab those out. I'll need an SD wipe, and I'll need a handful of lip applicators. And then I'll also need just a spoolie. That down. That should be everything I need out of my disposables. Now I'll go ahead and close up the bag. Set that down to the side. Now that I have all that out, I will sanitize. And I'm going to go ahead, grab my cup, and I will grab my wash. I'll go ahead and pump it over the trash can. Put that back. I'll grab my brush, brace the face, and now I will cleanse the brow. There's not actually a brow, so just pretend. Once that's all cleansed, I'll go ahead and throw away my cup, put my brush and items to be disinfected. I'll go ahead and grab an SD wipe and my water. I'll take this over the trash, dispense a pump just enough where it's damp, put my water back, and I'll remove the wash. Once that's all cleaned up, I'll go ahead and take my wipe and I'll throw it away. I'll sanitize. Now I'll grab out my next cup. I'll grab my lifting solution. I'll take that over the trash can. I'll dispense that. I'm now done with my lifting solution, so I can put this into items to be disinfected. Once I'm ready to use this, I'll go ahead and brace the face. I'll take my lifting solution on my lip applicator and I'll apply that to the brow. Once there's enough on the brow for your brow lamination, you'll go ahead and dispose of both of these into your trash bin. What they want to see is you straightening out the brow and kind of shaping it. So I'm going to go ahead and take my spoolie. I'm just kind of simulate straightening that brow and shaping it how I want. Once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and throw the spoolie away. Once that sits, I'll go ahead and now grab an SD wipe and I'll remove that lifting solution and dispose of my SD wipe in the trash can. I can sanitize and I'll go ahead and grab my last cup, my neutralizing solution. I'll go over the trash bin, dispense one pump. I'm now done with my neutralizing. I can throw that away as well. I'll go ahead and take a lip applicator and apply it just as I did the lifting solution. Once that's all on, I can go ahead and throw away both of these into our trash bin. I'll let that sit. We don't need to brush through these ones. Once that sits for a couple seconds in your Proctor C's, you can go ahead and grab your SD wipe and remove that neutralizer. And I'll throw away my SD wipe once I'm done with that. I'm going to go ahead and grab any of the disposables I didn't use, put those in the trash can. I'm going to go ahead and sanitize. I'll flip my mannequin head around so they can see. I'll make sure that there's no other things sitting out that I need to dispose of. Once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and sanitize and step back.
You'll perform eyebrow tinting. You'll demonstrate eyebrow tinting to the other eyebrow. You'll be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 10 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 5 minutes remaining. Turn the head to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
I'll go ahead, I'll step forward, I'll sanitize. I'll turn around my mannequin head. I'll sanitize again before going into my bag of disposable items. I'm going to need 2 Q-tips, 2 cups, a couple of SD wipes. I'll need a wooden stick. Since these fell out, I'll throw those away. And then I'll need a couple of lip applicators as well. Okay. Once I have all those out, I can go ahead and close my bag. And I'll set that to the side. I can even move these over here. Okay. Now once those all are out, I'll go ahead and sanitize again. I'll go into my bag of gloves. I'll grab out a pair. And now that this bag is empty, I can go ahead and dispose of this as well. In the trash bin, I'll go ahead and put on my gloves. Once my gloves are on, I'll go ahead and sanitize again before going over to my client. I'll grab my barrier cream. I'll grab a cup. And I'll grab my wooden stick. I'll take a little bit of the barrier cream and I'll dispose it, or I'll put it into the cup. Once that's done, I can go ahead and dispose of my barrier cream. Put that in items to be disinfected, as well as my wooden stick. I can put that into my trash. I'll take a Q-tip. Take the barrier cream and I'll put that occlusive barrier around the brow that's going to be tinted. I know there's no brow, but you want to make sure that you're doing it in a shape. You're not just like putting it randomly all over the place. You want to simulate the shape of the brow. Once that's on, I can go ahead and throw away both of these. Now we can go ahead and I can grab my cup. I can grab my tint. So I'll go ahead and dispose of this. I'll take my cup and my tint and I'll put a pump of this over the trash can. I can now dispose of my tint. I'll go ahead and I'll grab my developer. I'll put a pump of that and now I can dispose of my developer. Now that I have that, I can go ahead and I can mix that. Once that's mixed, I can go ahead and throw away that mixed it. I'll grab my new lip applicator, grab out, and I'll apply the tint solution in the shape of a brow. Once that's on and all covered, I can go ahead and throw away both of these. I can sanitize. I'll let that sit. If it's looking a little sloppy, you can go ahead and take your Q-tip and you can wipe around the shape of the brow to kind of clean it up a little bit. You can go ahead and throw away your Q-tip now. Once that's all done, you can go ahead and grab your SD wipe. And I can go ahead and remove that tint. I'll go ahead and throw away that SD wipe now. Will make sure that I have no other disposables on here, so I'll throw away my SD wipes. And since this is the end of our client in this section, we're actually going to go ahead and take our bag. We're going to leave out our universal supplies, but I can take anything that is for that client and I'll go ahead and throw that into the trash, or if there is any bottles left out, items to be disinfected. I'll look at my work area. I'll sanitize. I'll flip my client around. I'll remove my gloves. Put that into trash. Sanitize. And I'll step back.
During the service, your client has sustained a minor cut to the forehead. The injury is such that you can continue with the service. You have not come in contact with the blood, and your work area has not been contaminated. You are expected to demonstrate the proper procedure for blood exposure. You are expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You'll have 10 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed you have 5 minutes remaining. Step back to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You may begin.
Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll step forward. I'll sanitize. I'll go ahead and flip my client back around. I'll sanitize again, and now I'll go ahead and grab my first aid kit. I'm going to pop this open and put everything out. So I'll have my gloves, my Ziploc, my Band-Aid, my alcohol wipes, and I'll put the lid back on this, close it up, and I'll go ahead and set that down. I'm going to go ahead and sanitize once again, put on my gloves. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and open my Ziploc. I'm going to make a boat. And that's going to be holding all my trash. So I'm going to go ahead and take my alcohol wipe first. I'll put all my trash into my boat. I'll go ahead and brace their face. I'll clean the cut. Now that I'm done with that, I'll put the alcohol wipe back in there. I'll go ahead and take my bandage. I'll put the trash in the boat. Then I'll go ahead and take it, apply it over the cut. Make sure that's all in place. And then I'll go ahead and take that trash. I'll go ahead and zip up that Ziploc. I'll go ahead and hold that in one hand, take off that glove, put it in the other hand, Take off that glove. I'm going to tie it in a knot. I'll go ahead and I'll throw that into the trash now. I will sanitize, and then I'll go ahead and flip my client around again. I'll sanitize, and then I'll go ahead and sit back. You've now completed your practical exam. What you're going to do is they don't care anymore. It's not timed or anything like that, but they do want you to get it out there as soon as possible so they can start the next exam. So it doesn't matter how you clean up, just get it all in your tub and get out of there, grab your stuff from your locker, and leave.